Hello and welcome to the Book and Paper Arts channel. Kelly invited me to be the guest creator today. I was thrilled. My name is Kimberly and my channel is Journal Breeze. I'm happy to be with you here today, and thank you, Kelly. I imagine you have seen the cool looking pictorial, arty, sometimes realistic looking, sometimes photographic, but digitally made printables or PNGs, as I show here. These prints showed up fairly recently in the junk journaling community, I'd say, and more people are offering them on Etsy. The ones I'll create with you today are not made as landscape or portrait pages for journals. They are standalone pictorial art. I find them intriguing, dramatic, and sometimes too unusual or intimidating to use. So I challenged myself to use those I like the best, alone or without much else on the page. I wanted to get as much from them as I could. In other words, I wanted to get all that I needed from them with very little added at all. I will share 15 different examples of how I use them to decorate plain pages in my journal. Oops, I need to set my alarm. Hold on. I want to keep this concise. My journal is a half-page composition notebook journal. I remove the spine and about 1/3 of the pages. I sprayed all the pages with coffee and dried them in the sun. They wrinkled and crinkled quite a bit, as you can see. And the coffee is the only thing that is decorating or adding character to the blank line pages. Before I worked with the digitals, I lightly sprayed some of the digitals too. When I was done, I made a wider spine and used the 3 pamphlet hole stitch to sew them into a hidden spine. I prefer a more narrow spine than the extra wide one this block would require to avoid the gator mouth, so I'm going with the gator mouth when closed. It lays flat and perfect for writing on the blank pages. There will be a flip through on my channel of the whole thing. I hope you'll visit, comment, and subscribe if you like it. I'll put the link to the Journal Breeze in the description box. I'll also list the 4 amazing designers that I used in this journal in the description box by their Etsy name. I used a few others that you'll learn about in the flip through. So let's begin the examples. At the beginning, they were kind of, straightforward things that you might think of. Got a little more creative as we went on. So in the first one, I call it bridging the digital to the page with a repeat element, and in this case, a repeat color. So this digital would look pretty plain sitting on the page, as you would obviously think. I'll share this. This is the inside. I've had this picture forever, and I was just waiting to use it at the right time. So I thought, okay, hidden away. I'm keeping the journal, so I like that. Number 2 is blurring the edges with white gesso. If you had a different color background, then pick a gesso color that's the same color as that background. I also kept this quote on a white background. I use quotes throughout this, and some of them are coffee dyed, some darker than others, and I think that also helps to blend it in. Number 3 is digital that I cut into sections and then layered them. There's actually 4 layers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. At first I just did it like this, and I thought it looked really beautiful that way. I love this, the house and the waves. But then I thought, oh no, let's get fancy. And I added this on top. And these are pockets where I cut strips. And so you could cut anything to put in there, but I wanted to carry on I wanted to use the digital till its fullest. in some cases I had to enlarge digitals, in other cases I had to make digitals smaller. This one I call repetition, which is of course a common thing you do in composition. So these girls came as a full page and some were attached, and I wanted certain things to be on these pages, certain girls to be on this page, so I made them smaller and cut them all apart. And I wanted everybody to like move their eye from the outer edge to the inner. So she looks in, she looks at you, kind of grabs your attention. She looks in, and then she looks at you, kind of grabs your attention. And I also wanted sort of a higher, lower, higher. This is a higher, lower, higher sort of a look. When you do repetition, there has to be something about them that draws your eye across the page, just like on this one with the pockets. You know, what's going to draw your eye? I mean, these look very much alike. Well, this belly band is what drew your eye over here, and then your eye naturally goes to the right if you read from the left to the right. And also keeping it interactive. I thought that was a nice one for this, whereas this has no interaction, so a person will spend less time on this page. But it's still alluring, and you feel the effect that I wanted to give off. This one I would call a subtle addition. I also coffee dyed this fabric that I thought was very arty looking to make the belly band. I didn't want it to distract. I feel like you look at this, you really want to see what it is, you want to pull it out. Your eye just kind of skims over the belly band. And what I did, the subtle addition, can you tell? I added a couple of die cuts to it. This one's more obvious because I also spray painted it white, but the other one is this. It blends in so well you can barely tell. And that's what I wanted. I did try a blank one here, but it blended in so well, and I liked how this spattered one turned out. I add subtle things to all of my pages, to all of my journals, many of my pages, and I don't usually bring it up. I add subtle things to enhance the page, whether that's to cover up something I don't want there or to add something subtly that I do want there. When I'm done with this, I'm going to write on the pages what it is that I did, and then use this as kind of an idea book at a later date. So this is the very next one. Yeah. So the belly band, no, there's one in between. Hold on. Oh no, this is it. Okay, belly band. I made one of the images that I found striking into the belly band, so that would be what gets the attention. And then I chose two very subtle, very abstract backgrounds that came about from spraying onto the die cuts that I made. So this is the negative. And the paper was so thin that it went through to the backs, which also look really good. These are just Tim Holtz sprays. In the next one, I collage on the page. You might not even be able to tell what I collaged. If you had the digital right next to you, you might be able to tell. But just looking at it, you probably would guess the numbers, and that's true. They happen to be washi tape. And then this is a stamp that I stamped onto tissue paper, and I glued it down. Because it's tissue paper, I had to glue it in a fairly plain area, because obviously it would show through too much. And I wanted it to look like it was part of the design. I did not want it to look like it was added. But can you tell the other thing, not looking at the tag yet, can you tell the other thing that I added? This. This is actually a vintage 1932, so almost 100-year-old receipt. And this is a very blank area under here. This is a tag. I cut it out of the kit, and I added die cuts to it. they're not subtle. They are the point. I picked a section that was blank for the background, and I added, this is the washi tape you saw, and then I added some of the faux sellotape that I made. But you can see the page, and I cut right along a line, or a perceived line that existed. It wasn't really a line. It was the top of this box, top of that box, went into there. I thought that was quite effective. Let's see. Alright, oops. So this is adding a focal point that blends right in. What do you think that is, the focal point that blends right in here? It's this woman and these books. It's an entire square. It looks like it was made on the page, does it not? Absolutely looks like it was made on the page. And I feel like these plaids give it such a cozy feel. I love plaids. Love, and I felt like, and reading is such an intimate thing to do. To me, it was just the perfect piece to put there. They're from completely different kits, completely different designers. I show a lot more of these in my flip through, and I'll actually name that designer there. I want to make sure I'm not missing any. Okay. All right. So this one is, I'm showing you because it's an upright design with a horizontal tag, horizontal cut, and a horizontal design on the tag. So this is the page without anything. And then this tag, rather than finding a short one that stands up, it causes your eye to go across the whole thing. You'd look at this and maybe you wouldn't spend any time here, but now, there's something growing out the top. And I also added another subtle. Did I get to this besides this one? I added this top. It's the branch is on there, or the stem, but I added a top from another flower. It actually broke off and was waiting to be added. Okay, so in this one, I combine different papers to look like one. So there are actually 3 different papers on this page. This, and this. And I put Collage medium from Tim Holtz on this one to give it some shine in order to separate it out even more. I wanted there to be evidence of these being separate, but I didn't want it to jump out. I wanted it to look like all one page. But in the end, that's kind of boring. So it was a opportunity for me to try my idea, but then the Collage medium helped it take on a different look. And then I splattered it with white paint. In this one, I took a digital that in fact is more like traditional digital landscapes. And a few of these are that. One designer, I loved her selection and cut out the individual elements in order to make them look like they came that way, because they are realistic and they are photographic. It happens to be about photography, so I thought that really fit the theme of this piece as well. But in this case, I used one of the pages and I folded it. Would have gone across the whole thing. I folded it in order to get closer to this picture. So this is all one page, but she's over here. There's something else underneath here. And I just did a vertical fold and moved her closer. So I like how her face is divided. That's how it was. And then she's thinking about this road. Where is she going? What's going to take place in her life? Is she going down the right road? Those kinds of thoughts that we all have. I also added this down here and this here, obviously. And then I made this tag, which is from the same kit. Put this washi tape on here. And I named it, It's All a Matter of Perception. Kind of fun. And I used a couple of brads to hold it in place where I wanted it. I wouldn't have had to use it as a pocket. It would be cool like this. But how can we have a tuck and not use it, right? This one I call a deep tuck from both sides. You could call it a very wide belly band, but it's more like a deep tuck. And then I made a couple of inserts. This one I added a little pin to the top to give it, I don't know, a little bit of a more rusty look. And this one I added a brad to give it more of a rusty look and to give it some weight. I didn't have a lot of space to play with in terms of how backing it and making it a lot higher. It wouldn't have fit. So I added the metals to make it lay down better, and then I added this in the middle so that they would stay up on the page. I'm happy with how they turned out. This one is a sort of a combination of things. I added a tag flip at the end of a scenic paper that changes the scene a lot, and it also adds writing space on the back of the tag. So here's how it looks, and then when you flip it, voila, there's a house here. So now you feel like you're across from this house on the beach. Looks like there's water that comes right up to them, so it's like a coastal feel. And then the back, I made this faux tape, and then the back, of course, can have writing on it. So I like that. I like when you can have it look like one scene and then turn into a completely different scene. Let's see. This is a vertical invisible pocket with an insert that furthers the story being told. At the end I did add this die cut that I aged with some mica stain, brass mica stain, because there really wasn't anything here. It was very plain, and so I felt like it needed something. But originally I sandpapered it in order to have it look white. Instead of putting brown on the edges, I sandpapered off the color. Again, experimenting to try to get the most from the digitals. So all of these white specks that you see are really using a round sanding pad on my dauber. And this is the picture, or the insert, I mean, that furthers the story. She's dreaming about going on a vacation in the tropics. Yeah, that's it. I mean, does she not look with her head up, not laying down? She's not trying to rest. She just looks like she's in a deep trance, imagining herself on this beach. I'm going to assume she actually has plane tickets and she's going to go there. But you can see that there's no idea at all that there's going to be a pocket. And so I thought that was kind of cool. And I didn't want it to be obvious here either. I did at one point put a little pull tab there, but I ended up not liking, so I took it off. It left a little scar, but that was okay. Again, it's an experimentation. This is another invisible pocket, but it's on the horizon line on a scenic landscape. So I cut it right where the ocean meets the sky. And I cut out this angel. I gave her a halo. I didn't want to cut into the wings because it doesn't really show. so you don't really get any benefit from it. But by leaving them, it was much more sturdy and it could slip back in the pocket. But you can't even tell there's a slit there. Just so gorgeous. Just so beautiful. I love every single thing I put in here. Just love it. And that's it. Yeah, that is it for today. If you liked this video, please hit like on Kelly's page, but also please hop over to my channel and see the flip through, and leave a comment and subscribe if you'd like to. I'd really appreciate that, and it would give us a chance to meet again. Hit the notification bell. Please comment here. I will read those comments and answer them as well. And thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope it was worth your while and that you learned a little something you can take away. I'd love to hear from you, and I would love to see you again. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.